Welcome back for another riveting episode of VRF Tech Talk podcast. I'm Donald Felice, joined again by
I am
Roman. This is going to be a
Yes.
quick one, and this is a touchy subject for me, so it might get heated.
Yes.
Roman made a post a couple weeks ago about warranties and what the manufacturer's responsibilities are in warranties. We come from two different sides of this story. I work for a rep, and he was with
Yep.
the manufacturer. Now he's a contractor on the side of
Yep.
claiming warranties, and we have some largely different opinions on this topic.
Yeah.
So Roman, let's
I'm
get
I'm
into
going
it.
to argue. Yeah, I'm going to argue why you can't void my warranty, and you're going to tell me how you're going to avoid my warranty, and that's the conversation that we're going to have.
Yeah.
A lot of guys out there in the field, there's so much misinformation out there, and we want you to. The biggest takeaway from this conversation that Donald and I are going to have, where we just cuss and yell at each other for 35 minutes, is just that it's your job to understand, with whatever position you may hold, whatever company that you work for, whatever level in the industry that you're currently at, there are certain things you need to understand about warranties, right? And where they stop, where they start, who can grant them, who can deny them, and what do those denials even mean and what they look like. And so that's the biggest part, right? That's the whole purpose of us talking about this as a whole. Because there's just, again, there's no way to cover all of this at one time. But for the most part, we're going to try to.
Yeah. So being on my side of the ball here is the manufacturer really puts the onus of warranty on the rep, right? Like the manufacturer doesn't have warranty police that go out there and look at every piece of information or install and say like, hey, this is warranty, this isn't warranty. But it really comes down to the wording of the warranty, right? It is a limited warranty. It has stipulations. And just because the compressor failed doesn't mean that it's automatically a warranty claim, even though the machine has terms, right? There's a need to get to the root of why something failed. Now, you're telling me that you had an evaporator coil start leaking 7 years after it was installed. Logically, do we really think that's a warranty claim? Is that something that could be claimed?
I'm claiming it.
Why? Show me.
So here's the thing.
Show me your maintenance records for 7 years.
Yeah. So here's the dividing line, right? So there are people who use warranties as mechanical contractors as leverage to push products on clients without understanding what the root cause of that failure is. And those people are the ones who are saying, if you don't pay all this money to me to replace this, then you're going to lose your warranty. I'm going to void your warranty. Not even me. I know Daikin, and Daikin is going to void your warranty, right? Because that's what we're talking about. This is the equipment we're talking about. This is what we do on a daily basis. And so, they're going to say, if you don't do these things that I'm saying you have to do, then your warranty is going to be voided. And here's the thing. They can't technically void the warranty. Now, what they can do is they can go to their rep, right? Or maybe they go to their rep and they're like, hey, this is the project. Yes, I do have 3 fan coils that have failed after 7 years. We did an evaluation and we found that the outdoor air unit wasn't maintained properly and it failed, and it wasn't removing the air from these spaces. It's a laundry room, right? Is the coil going to get warranty, Donald?
No.
See, so here's the thing, right? And that's the weird thing about this too, is that if I go directly to Daikin through Goodman, do you think they're going to warranty it?
Yeah, because it's no questions asked, right?
Exactly.
So
that's what I'm
warranty
is different depending on where you go. So,
well, it's not that it's different, right? Like the manufacturer has one thing, and like the person that you're asking to manufacture is going to look at this and say, well, I don't really know anything about the job, but you're asking me if it has warranty, and by terms, it has warranty.
It does.
Right?
Correct.
But by
are you going to
use case, it does not, right? Because
Yeah.
here's a great example of like, let's think about data closets, right? There is zero fresh air coming into those data closets in most cases.
Sure, it's a sealed environment.
So what happens to that coil? It's sitting there.
It eventually rots over time.
Right. It rots over time, right? Because there's no fresh air coming to it. There's nobody coming in there to maintain it like a regular coil, like a comfort cooling system would be, because it's a data closet. There's nothing in there, right?
Sure.
But that coil is going to turn into a giant ball of rust, right? But is that a manufacturing defect, or is that part of the environment, or is that part of maintenance not being done?
Thing too, though. So sure, and I don't disagree with that, right? So sure, I can push back to the client and say, hey, I'm gonna have, and I have those honest conversations at times. Listen, there's a good chance that this warranty is going to be denied. I'm going to ask, and if they say no, then they say no, and we'll go down the route of replacing the equipment. But if they say, yes, these are still the stipulations that I'm requiring us to do in order for us to process this warranty, because it's my name on the line, it's my reputation, because that's the thing. Like, if I'm the guy that's constantly shooting compressors off and claiming warranty for it, they will eventually come knocking on my door and say, why do you have so many failed compressors?
Yeah.
And like you said, the rep has the power of stopping that and saying, no, I'm not giving you any more compressors under warranty. Like, well, I'm gonna go around you and I'm gonna go straight to Daikin. Well, sure. And if they sell to you, then let them deal with it.
Right.
9 times out of 10, you're gonna get the wrong compressor, but that's okay. And maybe it gets shipped upside down. Who cares, right? Just sell them some more. But at the other side of it is you use warranty in order to talk to the client or even the customer, the mechanical contractor, and say, hey, why have we had 20 compressors fail on these 20 VRV units? That's one compressor per unit. What the hell are you guys doing out there?
And what can we do better, right? Like, let's look at this as an opportunity to do better, right? Just because this is not a warranty claim doesn't mean that we can't still make a customer out of that, right? It goes back to just being a salesperson, right? Like, we give these guys that are chucking a truck sales guys crap for selling new equipment. Right. But like, at the end of the day, like, it's customer satisfaction. And yes, they might be upset that they're not getting a warranty coil for something that they may or may not have known about, but use that as an opportunity to help them learn about that, so it doesn't happen again. Well,
and I was going to ask you, how many times does sales go over your head and give it to the client anyways? So
probably enough, but like, I think
so. It's this game we play, right? It's this game we play. There's that contractor, and I'm not that contractor, but there are contractors out there where it's like, hey, I got this $2 million project coming up next month or 6 months or a year. You're telling me that I can't get this compressor covered, or I can't get this 9-year and 11-month-year-old unit covered?
Absolutely not. And don't use that as leverage to do something scummy, right? Like, yes, but get it.
But you and I both know they go to the sales guy that works for you, and they say, hey, this guy's saying I can't have it. Are you kidding me? Like, we're gonna do $10 million worth of work with you next year, and you're still telling me I can't get this. And you're like, yeah. And so you fight the good fight, but then eventually someone does step in and say, hey,
but I would say majority of the time when we do that step in, it's usually a reduced price or I'll get you here, but I'll get you back on the other one. Right. But it's never like,
okay,
it's never free. I have a compressor that's going out of warranty in 7 days and it failed. Like, I guess technically by terms, you still have 7 days, but if it failed because you had no refrigerant in the system, that's not a claim.
Yeah. Well, and so that's the other thing. How many people are actually going through the root cause failure and saying, well, this compressor isn't warranted because it died electrically, or they go back and they say, well, this compressor is warranted because it died of natural causes. Is there anywhere in the warranty guideline that spells out the type of failure associated with those terms? Because I don't think there is.
Manufacturing defect.
Prove
to me that defect. A loss of refrigerant is a manufacturing defect.
It's not. I can't argue that. Yeah. But how many people are actually fighting that fight? Because I can guarantee you compressors die for all sorts of reasons, and we get them warranted left and right.
Yeah, sure. And it always comes back to just the level of education and just knowing more about these systems. And that's kind of what we're here to do, is just help people learn about these systems and be better, right? The less failures that you can have is the better system. The failures that you have, you should learn why they failed so that you can fix it.
Well, and so, when we talk about warranty, we talk about, voiding warranty, which isn't a thing. Well, unless have you guys threatened voiding warranty?
You can't. It's illegal.
Yeah, exactly. It is. I know. We both agree there. So, but the other side of that is I don't disagree with, I don't have to process your warranties. Right. I don't have to submit them. I don't have to order any parts for you. I don't have to be a part of this charade that you got going on with that facility. And then when the manufacturer comes knocking on my door and saying, hey, why are they suing? Why is the client, right, that has this equipment suing us now? And it's like, well, we refuse to warranty these units, and we refuse to warranty these compressors. Well, it looks like they bought it from, ABC distributor out of, New Jersey who shipped them to us. And so that stuff happens too.
Right.
Right.
I mean, and that's where the manufacturer has to have the person's back that's doing it. Is if the person that has denied filing claims did their due diligence and said, like, hey, here's the recommendations that we found based on, what had happened. and it looks like you didn't have maintenance records and you had a refrigerant leak and you've had 35 people come out here and none of them knew what they were doing, and then you had failures. Like, let's fix the problem and then we can talk about warranty in the future. This one is not covered.
Yeah.
But the manufacturer really has to have the that person's back. The person that's honestly trying to do the right thing has to be backed by the manufacturer.
Yeah, and it's tough too, because I even see national accounts where they buy from one specific state, but it feeds all over the country. And so, and there are specific warranty reports that need to be filled out based upon the rep, right? Then they do that for the due diligence side of things, like you're talking about. Here's the compressor failure, and I've seen some even go to the mat with, like, if you change out a compressor and you're warranting it, we also require 8 hours of operational data for that system after the compressor was replaced, because we want to go back and look to make sure that it's not going to die again.
Right.
Because and I get that takes time and that's time consuming. They're like, screw it, it's not my money that's coming out of my pocket. It's these people who, they just need the parts, so just give them the parts. But the other side of it is when you blindly give parts away for free to everybody, and anybody who asks in your area, eventually you're going to find that the reputation in your market for that equipment is going to decline.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about supporting the sales side of your business, of the people who sell the equipment, all you're doing by giving things away and not actually asking questions or asking why did it fail, or what does that look like, or did you get to the root cause of the fail?
Right.
Like, did you supply any operational data that we can verify? And you're going to be perpetuating the problem that is going to hurt your sales side.
I think
some people are like, well, I don't care.
Well, and that's the one thing is, like, the technicians in the field that just want to put the compressor in because that's their job. They don't know that, like, this whole industry is one, right? Your service department is the same department as your sales department. They just have a different figurehead. If your service department doesn't do good because they're just throwing compressors in and they're not fixing problems, your sales department doesn't do good because now they can't sell to that customer again. If you're,
or you get blacklisted.
Yeah, exactly. You lose a customer forever by having a poor service company.
I know at least 10 companies off the top of my head that have blacklisted manufacturers just because of compressor failures. Yeah. And it's like, had anybody stopped along the way who's actually warranting those compressors to say, hey, why do you have so many failures? What have you done? How can we help?
Right.
Can we get involved? And I will say some rep companies out there try to get involved and they get pushed back from the mechanical contractor. You're trying to steal my client, or we're not going to pay for your time. But at the end of the day, I mean, let's be honest. If you're the one selling to a multi-zone school system that's building a school a year or 2 schools a year, are you really willing to take a hit on the lack of sales or not selling anymore, or them going to chilled water, or them ripping them out and putting PTAX back in because your service team isn't pushing back enough to say, hey, why do we have so many failed compressors out there? Right. What are you doing? Right. Because I get it too. Like, I'm also on the other side too, where it's like, I don't know what I would do if my rep that warranties my compressors pushed back and said, no, we have to get involved now because you have too many warranty compressors. I mean, I would be upset. But also at the other side of it, it's like, maybe I'm not doing a good job for my client.
Who are you upset with? Yourself or the manufacturer at that point, right? Like, you've had the opportunity to do it right. You just never did.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing. And that's a hard thing to look back at. Especially if you're a technician listening to this and you work for a company where that is just business as usual. We just change compressors. And when we ask to look in further, we're told we don't have enough time. There's not enough time in the day. It's not on the call. It's not our problem. Move on to the next one. Maybe you're working for the wrong company. Maybe you're in the wrong place. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's just one of those things where
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. If you're like, that was always the deciding line between what is a technician and what's a parts changer. Technician is somebody that cares, right? They want to find the problem. They want to fix it. They want to be a technician. If you just want to slap a compressor in and go, like,
sure,
you could put a phone number on the side of your truck and do that for anybody.
Sure. But again, that's the thing too. We're kind of all in this together. The less compressors we all change, sure. You'd be like, well, the less work we have. And to be honest, there's not enough people out there to change all the compressors that are failing at this moment.
Yeah.
There's probably like 15 that have died in this conversation alone across the U.S.
None here.
check my emails. Yeah, not here either, actually. So, it's one of those things that, yes, there is a warranty. yes, you should do your due diligence to find the problem. Yes, there should be some pushback or accountability, but I think that also goes both ways. Like I have an understanding with my rep that if I need to get them involved, I will, but I also don't want them sniffing around with my clients trying to offer their own services to work on their equipment because they see that I have failures because they have access to the warranty database because they are a sister arm of the manufacturer.
Sure.
It's kind of, in my opinion, overstepping. Like, go find your own clients. Like, you have the list of everything that's sold in the territory because you sell it.
Yeah.
Don't come to my people. They came to me because they ran away from you. And so, it's just one of those things that warranty is tricky. Don't use it, don't abuse it, right? We shouldn't just swap a bunch of parts because we have to or we want to. Sometimes you have to. I get it. Those lost causes that kick your butt. Or the unit that you get your hands in after 3 other contractors have swapped a bunch of stuff out. You have no idea what's good anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a technician a couple of weeks ago, and unfortunately, they had a thermal event that took out a bunch of the wiring harnesses, and like, there's stuff just wire nutted, and there's loose wires, and like, man, like, I hate to say it, but like, it might be like start overtime because you don't know who did what, where it went. This wire is the same color as that wire. Is it going the right place? Like, do you have enough time in the day to do that?
Yeah, and it's not that he's not incompetent, right? He knows what he's doing. But how many hours are you going to build a client after they've already had so many people work on it? And it's like, just hang it up and start over. And people are like, well, you shouldn't change components that are not bad, and you should go through and test everything. And I'm with you. I believe that too. But there is a time and a place where you have to do triage, and it's like, I don't really have a choice. And I have to swap these out. And am I going to pay for it? Is the client going to pay for it? I mean, that's a hard sell too if you're not going to warranty those. So where does that fall? Is that warranty? See, so you're saying no. I would warranty that all day long. No. But that's also, I'm in the services industry where it's for me, it's providing services to my client to get them operational again, because maybe they're losing $28,000 a day because they're not renting rooms, or they're getting shut down by the state because they don't have air conditioning. Sure, there's a lot of bad decisions that led up to this point for me. But at the end of the day, I'm also going to try to get as most value as I can for my client, knowing that I'm not going to let this turn into repeat failures, if that makes sense.
Right. No, I mean, I was right there a couple weeks ago, like, just a weird issue that I haven't read into before. And unfortunately, I pulled the canon of, you get 4 boards in your indoor units, you get 4 boards in your branch selectors. And would the branch selector boards probably have fixed it? Probably, but it's not worth taking that chance. But again, like, the initial damage was done for something outside of the unit. So no, none of that would be warranty. Yeah.
Well, and the other side of this too is warranty labor. Like that doesn't exist in any world.
And that's, I understand that, right? Like, because I come from the automotive world where, like, if there's a warranty claim, you're the customer is not paying for the labor, right? Nobody's paying for the labor except for that. But in the air conditioning world, it's like, labor is not included. There is no stipulation to pay labor for something, and
unless you have an additional warranty, which isn't through the manufacturer, it would be purchased through like an Assure program or something like that.
Yeah, and like few and far between. I don't honestly, I've never had to deal with that. So like, I'm so glad. Like, I hear the horror stories of like home insurance companies. Like, that sounds so awful.
Yeah. It is. It's pretty brutal. I'll be honest with you. And I've even run across the one on the coast where all their panels blew off the units in a storm. But here's the thing: the panels didn't blow off the units from a hurricane. The panels were actually mutilated with screws from contractors that have worked on it, and they fell off. And the units did get water damage in them, but also some of the boards were just blown up because the compressors were grounded. And they're like, we're trying to get all this warranted under a storm claim through our insurance provider. And I'm like, I want nothing to do with this. This is fraud. Like, he's like, I just need you to say in your report that the hurricane that came through blew all the panels off and caused all this damage. And it's like, it didn't kill your compressors. He's like, well, the boards got wet and then the boards killed the compressors. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Like, I'm not going to tell your insurance company that you need to now warranty 11 or 12 outdoor units and all their boards and compressors. And he's like, well, we just want new units. And I'm like, I get what you want. I'm not the guy that you're going to use to commit fraud. I'm good. I'm not doing it. I don't want anything to do with this.
It's rough. And I'm glad I don't have to get put in that situation to where I have to be that deciding factor. But let's go back to another topic of if the install is bad and the install is known bad, should failures be covered after the fact?
I don't know. So here's the thing. Okay, so I'm going to take this one further then. If the install is garbage, the contractor that installed it, is garbage equally too. No offense to that guy, but he just did a really poor job. And so, that resulted in a bunch of failures. What if I'm the mechanical contractor that was hired to fix the equipment because I know what I'm doing? Does the warranty get pushed off because of me having to handle this, giant bag of crap that's on fire that's been handed to me? I mean, because again, the ultimately this comes out of the client's pocket,
Yeah.
right? But what if the other company got everything warranted, and now I'm pushing to get warranty, and I can't get it warranted? How good do I look as a professional to this client if I can't get my stuff covered
I mean,
when it's the manufacturer?
that's a hard conversation to have, but that unfortunately is it. If the install was documented that there was an issue with it, and it is known through the channels, and for some reason that the installer that did the misdeed is getting a warranty product and then they disappear, unfortunately that end user has to deal with what would happen. And like, do they go back through the general contractor and say, hey, your sub was the reason for this failure? Like, that's possible.
But what if it's 3 years down the road? Because I've seen this happen here in my state where out of state contractors come in because they're the lowest number
Yeah.
and they perform the work and then they peace out. And 3 years later, come to find out every VRV system here was wired with speaker wire and it's completely fallen apart outside. And it's resulted in burning out some boards
Yeah.
due to water in the wires.
I mean, that's why the general contractor is insured and bonded, right? Like, that falls back on
Sure,
them. It
but
was their
isn't there?
sub.
There's a limited liability clause, though, I'm sure at some point where, after so many days or so many years after the quality of work, it's no longer viable. But this is why VRV gets a black eye.
Right.
It's the guys that come in and they leave, and then 3 years later, I got to pick up the pieces. And then I have to explain to them that the equipment's not garbage. Their install was garbage. And then now they want to rip it out because now they have to pay for compressors and they have to pay for boards and nothing is covered under warranty. I mean, it's just, it's bloody. Because then what happens is then either the manufacturer gets involved or sales
Or
who
lawyers.
sold it to them, and then lawyers, and it just gets really freaking messy really quick.
Unfortunately, that's the path it has to take sometimes. Like, because it has to be documented. That's the best thing. That's the biggest point of this. If it was known that there was a bad install from the start, it has to be known. It has to be documented. And unfortunately, if that document never made it through channels to the end user, you're kind of SOL.
Well, and so what about this? So what if we go through all that? What if the lawyers and the manufacturer, what the manufacturer's going to do?
Just pay.
They're going to pay, or they're going to pay,
They're
and they're
going to
also
figure
going
out
to give
a
them
settlement.
They're going to give them the equipment. They're going to give them the boards. They're going to give them everything they asked for the first time after it was denied because of a bad install. And so, why go through all that rigmarole if we could just get it warranted the first time? And that's the delineating line of difficulty here.
Well, that's it, right? That's de facto. That's the end of the story. If they say, here's your settlement, we're going to give you X amount of boards, X amount of compressors. If it fails again, done.
Yeah.
And if it's a bad install, it will fail again.
Yeah. No, and I have seen that. Okay, so I will argue that point where the manufacturer says we're washing our hands of this, and they make them sign an actual release of liability waiver where they're saying we've done our due diligence per our limited warranty.
Yep.
We're absolving it as of this point moving forward.
Right.
And the sad thing is that sometimes they don't do anything, and they just change it out, and it gets running for like a year, and then they rip it all out, and then they go bashing VRF sucks. VRV sucks, Daikin sucks, this equipment sucks, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, if you actually worked for the company or were a part of any of the stuff that they went through, you'd have known that they didn't listen. They hired the cheapest contractor. Then the manufacturer says, you got problems. These things need to be fixed. And they didn't fix them. And then they got to this point. And so it's a dirty, nasty game out there where, you don't know who you can trust. You don't know at what point, this repair has been. And I mean, there's been dicey situations where I've been brought in from the manufacturer side, and it's like, I don't know if I want to touch this. Like, I like you. I'm thankful for the work, but I don't know if I want to touch this because I'm not looking to be deposed in court in 2 years from now because, they went with the cheapest bidder. Like, cheapest bidder always loses on VRF every single time.
Right. Well, I mean, it just goes back to that iron triangle, right? You want cheap, you want good, or you want fast, right?
Yeah.
You can only pick
for
two.
Me, it's like there should be like this. There should be like a this network of like approved quality VRV install contractors, right? Where it's like you've got the clients that they can call to say, hey, how did this company do on your installation, and like actually get real life feedback before you go with
some
them.
VRF Angie's List.
That's it. You don't pay for the leads. Actually, we disqualify everybody until you prove otherwise. And so, but that's the thing. Who would maintain that? It's like I love the idea of better HVAC. That's going to take a lot of work to get implemented. But something like that, better HVAC for VRF, VRV. And there's these companies that pop up overnight.
Why can't ASHRAE be involved in that? Like,
sure. Again, if for an organization to manage something like this, they'd have to have non-biased, opinions or connections to the industry to vet these people. And the vetting process isn't like they got to fill out a questionnaire and they got to show where they went to the classes and they got to show all the cool badges they have. No, you have to provide, 5 projects that you've done installations on that, we can call and actually request feedback without you.
Should that be my responsibility as a rep in my territory? I mean, we have recommendations for service contractors all the time that like these are the guys that we know are doing what they should. I'm sure we have the same for installers, but we don't really get that level of involvement until the dust has already settled.
But I'll ask you this: who freaking kills it in your market on mechanical installation? Do you not?
Yeah.
You have a list. You know their names. You know who they are, and when they're on the list for buying the equipment, and you got startup or you got service. You're like, whew, thank the Lord, it's one of these projects. Yeah. And so, I mean, maybe we should be making the list, right? Maybe reps should be putting out a do not hire list.
Well, but you can't, right? Because a sale is a sale, and when you're based when you need to make money,
push them boxes, boy.
You gotta push the boxes. Unfortunately, like that's the
I get it. Money makes the world go round. It just there's got to be a better way. And some reps do a really good job of this. Some reps don't care. I get it. Some sales guys they'll sell to anybody. Like, hey, you got $5,000 here, have a VRVS.
If the money's green.
Yeah, that's it. And at what point, and I've done articles on this. I've done podcasts with Brian on HVAC School about this. At what point does a sales guy step in with a client and say, I'm not selling to you anymore? And they're like, well, I'll just go to the guy who works next to you in your cubicle and he'll sell to me. And he might, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I could do sales because I would be that guy. I'd be like, no, I'm not selling to you anymore. Get better or get out of here.
I mean, that comes down to the office, like the how the office is run. Like if I'm sure there's a blacklist.
Sales numbers are down, Donald.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a blacklist somewhere like where the juice isn't worth the squeeze, right? Like sometimes the money isn't green.
But let's be honest, the only people who end up on that list, and this is true, the only people who end up on that blacklist are the ones who don't pay their bills.
Yeah.
Not the people who install equipment like trash. That's the problem.
That's not a lie.
You don't get your money then, and you don't pay for your equipment, you get blacklisted. Yeah. It's not you do a really poor job with this equipment and we get nothing but hassles, and it turned into 2 lawsuits. But because and I can speak the truth because I'm a contractor.
There is a correlation between the person that doesn't pay their bills and the person that doesn't do a good job, right? So I mean, it may not be a 1-for-1 relationship, but like they're most of the time they're the same people.
And they are, and you're like, well, they're doing Samsung this year, they'll do LG next year, then they'll be back to Daikin a year after that, saying that it's changed, and it hasn't changed.
Right.
They're the same people that are giving the industry a black eye with all the failures that are out there.
I mean, I think it's hilarious going to AHR and like just eavesdropping in some of the conversations that are going on in some of these major manufacturers booths, and like, I'm such a great customer because I did, $100,000 in sales on your equipment last year. I'm like, cool, $100,000. Like, what, you sold like one system, two systems, and then like those are the same people that are like
Florida.
Like,
it's like 6 systems in Florida.
Yeah, right. Hey, inflation is real, man. But like those are the same people that are like beating up tech support because they're not available, and beating up the product because it's junk, and not going to training, and then ultimately that's the person that has a failure within a month and says, "Oh, I need a warranty compressor because this thing's just a piece of junk."
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing. Like, we should be like, in my mind, like, I'm thinking like football rosters, right? Of like ranking players, of like,
first string,
touchdowns and passes. Yeah. And you got these contractors, and you're like, yeah, callback rate, 1%. Like, he's up there, right? He's done
that's a 50 crazy installs. Metric to think about. Like, that kind of blows my mind a little bit.
Warranty. How many warranty? What's the total warranty cost of parts warranted? Last year. Year over year, past 5 years.
I have the data. I can correlate that. I mean, I really don't want to, but
like best contractors in the U.S. It's just funny because it gets you. If there was something like that, a database that people could go off of, it would make it a lot easier to justify pricing and where we're at in our market. Because it's also my job to justify why we charge what we charge and the value that we add. Because at the end of the day, I have people who will choose us over others because their quote doesn't include finding the problem.
Right.
It just includes changing the compressor. And it's like, yeah, they're $600 cheaper than me. Are you really going to go with someone who's not going to fix your problems? Or do you want to go with us who actually found the problem? And this is, by the way, they've done this 3 times. Right. We haven't done this yet for you. So, well, can't you just drop it $600? No, I can't drop it $600. This is my price. Like, do you want it fixed or do you not? And if you don't, then you don't understand the value that we're bringing or the reputation that we have.
Try again next time.
Yeah, well, don't, and they will, and it's a sad story, But at the end of the day, you gotta. I mean, you gotta do what's best for you, do what's best for your company, I guess. So
the analog is to the residential industry, right? Like, we see the posts on these groups all the time of like, I'm the third guy to come out to this house and we can't figure it out, and like, this is what I think it is. What do you think it is? And like, inevitably you get it's the TXV guy, but then like, one smart person will chime in and be like, "What's your airflow?" And they're like, "Oh, I didn't check that." I'm like, well, why?
It's got 3 filters sucked into the coil.
It's got a MERV 7000 plug filter.
It's the weirdest thing. Every time I go to change the filter, it's not there anymore. Right. So I always assume someone took it out, and it's like, no, it got sucked into the unit.
But
3 times in a row.
What I was getting to is like, in the commercial side, like, it's still the same stuff. Like, if you're the 4th person to go out there and you're looking for something different, you should be looking for something different. You should be requesting the 4 service reports from the guys before you to say, all right, well, he looked at this, he looked at this, and he looked at this. Nobody looked at this. Okay, well, let's go look at that.
Big picture diagnosis.
Right. But, back to warranty. I
Yeah,
can't void it, but I can deny it. I can tell you that we're not going to claim it.
I can sure as heck make your life miserable.
You can ship you the wrong compressor 7 times.
Or upside down like I am. We dropped it off a loading dock.
Yeah.
Oops.
We dropped it off the back of a truck.
It'll still run.
It'll go.
Just hammer out the suction line.
Yeah, just re-round that suction line. I'm sure there's a product that was at AHR for re-rounding pipe.
I'm sure there is, yeah, somewhere. So,
but yeah, but it's just, warranty is a touchy subject, and you know, I'm not trying to be the.
You are.
I am. I'm not trying to be the bad guy, but like, yeah. if you're not getting to the root cause of it, like, yes, contractor's my customer and the end user's their customer, but at the end of the day, the end user's still my customer too, even though I'm not getting directly paid by them. And what I really want is them to be happy with what they have, not really the contractor putting a compressor in. Like, yes, I want them to be happy, but at the end of the day, if the end user's not happy, then nobody's happy.
Yeah.
And if that means sometimes giving out some charity case compressors or whatever it may be, like that's part of it. But if
me out back on the loading dock,
yeah, but
didn't get these from me.
But we got to do better as an industry to find out the cause of failure, not just it failed.
Yeah. We won't have any problems with warranties, and we can just all do our job. Sounds good.
Yeah, build it better.
Well, I appreciate this conversation. It's not as heated as I thought it would be, but it's one of those things that I think we should talk more about it. And I'm sure we're going to get some feedback from the people who listen to this about specific scenarios where they had this happen or they had that happen. And I look forward to that because it's gonna create some more conversation.
Yeah,
so.
And for the tens of you that do listen, come on the Facebook group and let's talk about it more on there. Like we're there, VRF Tech Talk on Facebook, and let's talk about it there.
Yeah, it's a community of I think we're like 4,700 guys now all over the world.
Pretty clean too. That's my
talking
favorite part.
Talking about actual things that matter, asking for help. No one's gonna make you look dumb or stupid, especially if it's your first time. The amount of people I see post that say it's my first call tomorrow, I got no idea what I'm doing. You put that in the the Facebook technician group, you get drug all over the place.
Crucified in there.
I won't even start with the HVAC for Life group. But it's a safe space for people who are actually looking to service this equipment, to do work on it. So if you haven't checked it out, and you have to answer the question. So you realize it's automatic denial, which if you read the entry, you would know that. But reading is hard, so I get it.
Yeah. No, I mean,
good times.
There was a post. It wasn't in our VRF group, but it was in one of the other 9,000 HVAC groups where they were talking about this call center thing, and the guy was like, "Hey, I couldn't get a hold of the call center, so I opened up the book and figured it out." And I was like, "That's what you should be doing. That's good work, man. That's good."
Yeah. Sometimes the software, so like I can't get my service checker to work, or my laptop is doing this, and that's where like the group comes in handy. But no, I don't disagree.
All right.
What have you done?
Nothing. Played in the rain all week.
Oh man! All right, well, hey, I appreciate it. Till the next time.
All right, Roman. Good talking to you. See you, everybody. Bye.